Hello. Hey, good evening. Welcome to our Winzertalk with the winery Artuke. We have Arturo here, Arturo de Miguel, who is one of the two winemakers of Artuke. Him and his brother Kike have the winery. As you might have noticed, the name of the winery is like the both first names, Arturo and Kike, combined. And yeah, welcome, Arturo. How are you doing?
Thank you. The first step to invite me to enjoy with you and with your people. Um, we are of course well because we finished the harvest 2 weeks ago, so now we are a little bit more relaxed.
Mm-hmm. So everything is bubbling in the cellar.
Now we are with a part of fermentation, but also we are close to finish the fermentation, and at the moment we need to tell you that we are happy with the harvest.
Mm-hmm. How was the vintage? How was 22?
But the vintage 22, I think that it had been a big challenge for us. You know that here in Spain and also I think in France or Italy or in general in Europe, we have very 3 times high temperatures during June, July, and then last one close to August. Uh, Here, you know that we are in Rioja. Rioja is in the north part of Spain. So uh, really, as here we have with the very old vineyards with any irrigation, and also as we had very good winter or rainy winter, and during the November, December, and January, we need to tell you that we are happy with the vintage because really the plants it can make the rootness part a little bit more faster than other years, uh, but with good level of sugar, and will after will be the alcohol, and and of course with good level of acidity. Now
Mm-hmm.
I think that the challenge for the future, for the climate change that we have, of course, will be to have a good level of acidity. And this year, this is the reason why we decided to start a little bit before to picking. And at the moment, I think that the balance between the acidity and the alcohol, the ruinous parts, is very nice at the moment. And of course, the flavors of the wines also is very fruity this year. Um, in comparison, for example, with the 21, the 21 vintage was a little bit more balsamic in the notes. So we need to be optimistic, and we need to be happy now with the new vintage that we have now in the winery.
Mm-hmm. They're all different, and each one has its merits, I think. I mean, if you say that 21 was a little more balsamic on the nose,
Mhm.
some people are going to like that better. Other people are going to like 22 better if that is more on the
Yeah,
fruity side. Um, so it's great that you have something to offer for any palate and for
yeah.
any um, preference.
Of,
But
of course, of course, it's very difficult to make like how to say like a good average in total, because depending the winery you can listen different things. But really, this vintage, when the weather is not very good, or because it is very rainy, or because it is very hot, very dry, I don't know. uh, I think that is the best vintage to feel the good wine growers, the good viticultors,
Hmm.
because you need to work more in the vineyards and normally less in the winery.
Yes. I mean, if we think back, like I've first encountered Artuke
Mhm.
when I read about the Rioja and roll movement.
Mhm.
And the tagline was, I don't know if it still exists, if you guys still hang out together, but
Yeah.
it used to say, "In grapes we trust," right?
Yeah.
So so I thought that was very meaningful, especially like if what you're saying, each vintage is different. Each vintage has different problems that you're facing, but you work in the vineyard and you have good plants that give good grapes, and they can, if you care for them in the right way, they can give those grapes like also in a less good vintage. Um, but it was like kind of in grapes we trust means something in the Rioja, in the whole context of Rioja. Maybe I don't know if you want to explain something about that, about how Artuque is different from many Rioja producers.
Yeah. Okay. Really, is very easy to understand. Maybe you know that Rioja is one of the oldest wine region in Spain. Okay, I don't know if it is can be the most famous, but one of the oldest. We are right that it is. Uh, which one can be the problem for the small companies like me? Okay, the problem that we have now in Rioja is that the region is very big. Okay, normally now it's very fashion to compare the different regions of Spain with Burgundy. Okay,
Yeah.
because we know that Burgundy is very fashion, and also the wines from Burgundy, they are incredible. I have visited Burgundy a lot of times, and really it's incredible region. But the point that we have in Rioja is that the region is very big. There are in total, to understand the people that they are seen to us. Uh, in total in Rioja there are 63,000 hectares. Okay,
Yeah.
and every year from Rioja to the world, it's selling around 400 million of bottles. So this one is a big machine of production. We know. And if we speak about the wineries, to sell these 400 million bottles, only there are 500 wineries, more or less. And if we go to the size of the wineries, we can have only 50 wineries, more or less, that they are selling the 75% of the bottles. Like the big companies like, I don't know, El Coto or Marques de Cáceres, there are like factories there are, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then there are other medium-sized wineries between 2 million of bottles to 500,000 of bottles. And it's a big group, around 300 wineries more or less. And then there are other small wineries like me producing less than 200,000 bottles. We can be considered like a boutique wineries, no? I don't know, because you can give to us a lot definition, no? But really, we are wine growers. In our case, my parents started the business in the 1991. But really, my grandparents and my grandparents before, they sold the wines in bulks to these factories because they don't have the opportunity to sell their wines in bottles. My parents started this type of business to bottling their grapes from their own vineyards, because during the 88 to 19, it was a very high crisis of the very high prices crisis. No, the prices of the grapes of the wine was very cheap,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the step to decide to start the business to like with the brand of combination, no, like you told to me, like Artuke, no, and telling the wine, the wine world that we have in the Rioja roll brand, the grapes we trust now, is, I think, the unique way to understand really the value of our region, because really we trust in our soils, we trust in our plots, we trust in our grapes, but because every day we are working there.
Mhm.
Okay, I think that for us this job is spectacular. We enjoy a lot because we are working our passion, and our passion is the vineyards, the grapes, to be every day in the land. Because at the moment the people ask to me, not a lot, but yes, sometimes, how big do you want to be your company, no?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
normally I answer the same. When I lose the control of the grapes, I don't like it. So at the moment, making 100 or 50,000 bottles, 100 to 80,000 bottles, like we are making from over 30 own hectares, we are every day in the winery, every day in the vineyards, and really this one we like to do. So we are happy, and when you are happy, it's impossible to tell to us to the life everything more, no?
I mean, there's always like two paths that you can choose as a winemaker, or like
Yeah.
as a winery, as a company. Either you make more,
Mm-hmm.
and or you make better. You know, like that's like the two choices that you have, and I think it's pretty clear that you guys are going for better and
Yeah,
not
of course,
more.
but because, for example, I studied agronomical engineer when I was young, and really, for us, for me, it's very important to have the control and to feel the vineyards there. For example, if my idea could be to increase our bottles, but really in the future I would be making every day in the computer with the different control of the prices, the sales, the invoice, the different things. But this part I don't like. So I prefer to be every day in the land, in the winery. To, of course, we have every year the challenge to work with more detail, with more artisan process, with you know, and but not to make more bottles. We want to make better bottles than to make more.
Exactly. I mean, it's pretty obvious because from what I've tasted over the years of your wines, they have been improving all the time. Like you've you've grown better in a way. During my experience with Artuke wines. Um, so hats off for that.
Thank you.
You've brought up Burgundy, and it's always, like you said, it's always very fashionable to say that something is like Burgundy. But I think for you guys, it's more appropriate actually to speak about Burgundy than many wineries where it's more like a fashion statement. Because when I think of Rioja, I don't really think about, or it's starting to change, but I used to not think about plots, about village wines, and about single vineyard wines. but you have started to do that in more or less a pioneer way of doing it. It's like you were not the only ones, you were not the first ones, but from my understanding, Artuke is one of the wineries that does this in the most in the most straightforward way. Like you actually, you don't write it on the bottle. Now you can with the vinos de paraje.
Yeah.
You can now write it on the bottle, but before you couldn't really. But you already had this idea of the smaller the land, the more precise the terroir, the better the wine, the more high quality the wine.
Yeah, of course. This one really is. It starts with 13. We are now in the 22. 15 years ago. 15 years ago. Yeah. Maybe the first step to understand this one was in my first trip of Burgundy, because there I felt really the difference between two plots that they were very, very close. No? Mm-hmm. And really in Rioja, if you check a little, in our part of we are in the part of Alavesa, in the north of the region of Rioja, where normally the plots are smaller than in Rioja Oriental or in Rioja Alta, because these soils are very poor, and also because since a lot of years ago, the people only, or my parents, my grandparents only, they were working with olives, with almonds, and with vineyard. So this is the reason why here in the part of Alavesa, we can have one of the highest percent of the whole vineyards in the region. No? Mm-hmm. But after, as I told you, after my first trip to Burgundy, I understand that the old classification, or the classical classification of the Rioja's brand of Crianza, Reserva, and Gran Reserva, for me, didn't have any reason, any good reason, no? And this is the idea for us why we started to, during the 3 years, we started to check into studying our old plots that we had. So after 3 years making single plot elaboration, checking the different soils, the styles of the wine that we have after elaboration, and a lot things, we decided to start speaking about the new way of Rioja. This one, our first single plot was Finca de los Locos, and the first vintage was 2009. So we started speaking in this way a lot years ago. But now I think that we started this way, and we are very happy now, because was the first step to understand why Rioja can give us a very, very good wines, a very, very special wines, because really we have a very, very special plots. The problem was that during the last 20 years, these special plots, this Grand Cru, if we can put a name, normally they went to a big tank in a cooperative.
Yeah.
And
so sad.
we sold the real value of the region in a 1 million liters tank. No? So I think that we are in a very incredible region, but really you need to find every day the good plots. And you need to understand that the viticulture, for us, we understand like a very, very solidary work, because now we will taste the Condenada wine. Is one of our best plots that we have. less than 1 hectare, and was planted in 1920. So we need to understand that the people 100 years ago were planting the vineyards, and now we are enjoying with this wine. So also we need to plant the new plots, the new vineyards, because also the next generation will need to enjoy with our vineyards that we have now, or we are planting now. So we need to understand that the best job that we can make for our next generation here in Rioja is to start speaking about the vineyard, the village, and the different plots. Because this one, because we know that in Bordeaux, Napoleon during the 1845, I think, make the classification, and if you are not agree, they can cut to you your face, no? Of course, no? So here in Spain, the best Grand Cru, we need to make every year. We need to making the vinification alone, and of course, after 20 years, 30 years, the market will decide which one will be the Grand Cru or the Premier Cru or the last one. But I think that we need to be generous, and for the next generation, the job that we need to make now is to speak about the plots, the village, and the lands.
But you also need to find a way in the cellar, because, like you said, crianza, reserva, gran reserva, that's all, like, those words come from the cellar, right? So, but you still need a cellar. You still need to make the wine from the plots. So you need to find basically a way in the cellar to form a new tradition of, like, to make the wine actually show its terroir. You also need the right grape varieties. I don't know what do you guys have Tempranillo, obviously, and what else?
Obviously here we work with the very traditional grapes like Tempranillo. We have in total 24 hectares. We have also 5 hectares of Graciano and 1 hectare of Viura. Viura is Macabeo, is a white grape. Normally here, it's very, very common to have the co-plantation. To have different grapes in the same plot. And of course, as we are very, very traditional, because when I was studying at the university, I finished my studies and I come back to the winery, and I have a lot of discussion with my father, because I finished it during the 2005-6, and it was very fashion to here in Spain, or with the new barrels, to make the wines with a lot of structure, to only leave maybe one bunch per vine, to have a lot of potential. And when I started, when I come after the university to the winery, I put in this way in the elaboration process, no? My father, we discussed a lot, and he told me that yes, but you are crazy, because this one never we done in here in the winery. So this one is not the traditional. And really, after 6 years, with a lot of discussion, like I told you, we feel that if a customer from Germany or nobody knows, because now we are selling our wines in the world, really, we feel that my father was right, because if the people want to enjoy with our wines, also need to find in the wines our history, our artisan process, our philosophy, and this was very common, because here normally the people, or my father, was working with the different grapes to make red wine with co-plantation and co-fermentation, adding in big barrels. My father didn't like to use 225 classical barrels like in Rioja. They prefer to work with concrete or with 3,000 liter barrels. So really, we understood that the way that we need to continue was the traditional way. And this one step also is to work with the traditional grapes like Tempranillo, Graciano, and Miura. You know that the Tempranillo is the king here in Rioja, but also there are other grapes very, very interesting to make a co-fermentation with it.
I mean, some people are also using Garnacha.
Garnacha now is more local in Rioja Baja, and also in the valley of traditionally in the valley of Najerilla Valley, to make the rosé, to make the mix with white and red. But here in the part of Alavesa, traditionally, my grandparents they made red wines with also normally every year they use it between 5-3% of white grape to make the red.
Oh yeah, okay. So you have like a little bit of more
fresh part or
freshness.
A little bit more complex. Yeah, it can be like.
Oh yeah, okay. So is
but
that
we are not discovering nothing now.
No,
we only want to work in the same way that our grandparents. Also, of course, we have more technology. We also check more the themes, the viñas and the wines, but really to have the last essence, no? We need to work with like many years ago.
Yeah. I mean, like people keep rediscovering things that their grandparents have forgotten. You know, like it's
of course.
it's always the same thing with wine. I mean, the Romans made it, and it was different then, but not that much.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start tasting the first wine. The first one that we have is the Artuke from 2021.
2021, yeah.
So the most recent. What can you tell us about the wine? It's
so perfect, because I think that is the best step that we can start, because it's our entry level, and also because it's our historical wine.
Okay.
This wine, my parents started making from the different plots that we had in the different village. Okay, not only in Baños, only to sell in the domestic market. The elaboration process is very easy, because you put, in our case, we put the bunds in the concrete tanks. Only the grapes are in fermentation during 1 week more or less. Then we press with our feet before, and normally the last part of fermentation is in a concrete tank. Okay, and then this wine it stays nothing in oak, but yes in concrete. Normally we add it during 5-6 months in concrete. Okay.
Yeah.
And as I told you before, we make the different studies of our plots, and now the 21 and also the last vintage, the Artuke was born in the vineyard that we have in Baños. So, as then we will taste the Pies Negros. This Artuke is the vineyard that we have in Baños de Ebro. It's a village wine from Baños de Ebro.
Okay.
And Pies Negros after will be the village wine from Avalos. Okay.
Okay.
The difference between two villages is that Baños de Ebro, normally the vineyards are between 450 to 600 meters. Normally the orientation is it is not only north-south. Here normally, as the Ebro River crosses to Baños, normally the orientation of the vineyards normally is to the river. No?
Yeah.
And here the soils are a combination of clay and chalk, and the age of the vineyards can be, we use here the young vineyard that we have between 10 20 years, and also it's very uncommon because our oldest vineyard, it is close to a river, 110 years old, and we used to make this wine. So we have the young vineyards are the oldest, but not the oldest necessarily can be the best vineyard that we have. It's the oldest, and we used to make our entry-level wine. Okay,
it's the oldest, but it's so close to the river that it's not as interesting.
When you are close to a river, normally you have more water, more vigor, more production. Normally, it's more difficult to have a good balance.
What I really love about this is that it's super Spanish. It's like you can totally tell where it's from. It's not you smell it and you right away you know where you are. It's like very very typical in a way.
The people also names this wine like a Spanish Beaujolais.
Spanish what?
The Spanish Beaujolais.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah,
really
true.
It's the same process of elaboration, but it's the different grapes. But yes, here for us it's very important in this wine to have the identity of the village, and also as we are everyday drinking this wine, we need the wine to give us a lot fresh sensation, very easy to drink, and really we want to be like a wine to drink, not to think. No, can be the idea. No, because we don't work in this wine with a lot of structure. We prefer to work with light color, less structure, a little bit more acidity, and really to enjoy a lot in the month. No, to go in your month very, very fast. No.
Right. Yeah. It's it has almost like a violet purple tinge, which is like that's also
normally the profile now the profile of the nose can be like more floral, violet, also strawberries, can be like a mix of this one.
Yeah. Like you said before, like the 21 maybe is not as fruity because this seems compared to the Beaujolais that I know, not so much fruity, a little bit more structure than I would expect. Well, of course, that I would expect of a low-level Beaujolais.
Yeah.
So this would be a very good Beaujolais, or maybe just something a little bit different.
No, I think that the wines of Beaujolais have a lot personality. I like a lot the Morgon, Fleury. Really, I like a lot. This one we need to understand like our traditional wine. Really, for us, it's very important to people understand that, like also in Rioja, we can enjoy with the wines that they don't have oak.
Yeah.
Because this one for the German people can be maybe more difficult to understand why in Rioja it's possible to enjoy with the wines with oak. Because normally you know that in Rioja the best wines there are in oak.
Yeah.
But yes, I think that for us, we like this wine a lot because also for us has a lot. How do you say in English? A lot passional part, because it was the first step to born Artuke many years ago.
Yeah.
And also this one is important. But yes, the fresh part, the floral nose.
It's super fresh. It's super easy drinking. Yeah.
And this way, it is very good to enjoy every day with the wine.
Yeah. I can totally see this for like a simple meal with not like like many pipes and bells and whistles, just like something simple, down to earth, and you have this wine and you're going to be a very happy camper for the evening.
Like, yeah.
Or like if you have a barbecue, for example, this would also be great. If you chill it a little bit.
We drink this wine with very informal food.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Here in Spain, like tapas or like very light cheese, like here the chorizo. I don't know which one is the translation is in English. But yes, with very informal food.
Yeah, exactly. Like chorizo, I can also see that. But yeah, exactly. Like you said, the 21 is not so much on the fruity side. Like the other times that I've tried it, was more fruity. It was more strawberry and more of those like light red berries. This one is a little bit more, more like like a little bit more to the back. It's not just fruit forward but it's a super great wine. It's like it's something for people that like Morgon, for example.
Yeah.
Shall we pass on to Pies Negros?
Yeah. Okay.
Pies Negros, we have the vintage before. It's 2020.
2020. Yeah.
Exactly. So, you said that this is like a village wine from.
Yeah.
What was the name of the village?
Avalos.
See.
Yeah. Yes, because here is very common to have. In our case, we have the winery in Baños.
Yeah.
But we only have the 40% of our vineyard in Baños.
Okay.
The rest, the other 60, we have in Avalos, in San Vicente, in Samaneo, and in Villabuena. So this is the reason also that we have like in Burgundy, the same problem that you have the winery in Meursault, but also you are making the wine from Pouligny, or also in Meursault. Maybe you have in other villages like Bosnay or Gabray, or you are working with the reds, no?
Right.
And here in Pies Negros, we work with the same village philosophy, okay? Because to make this wine, we use the vineyards that we have in Avalos. Avalos, in this case, the vineyards we can find a little bit higher because the vineyards are from 550 meters to 660. Now we are a little bit more close than from the mountains, because in our north, in this region, we have the Cantabria Mountains, no?
Yeah.
And here the vineyards are closer than in Artuque.
So they're higher
Here,
up,
yeah,
closer to the mountains. Yeah, okay.
100 meters more or less higher than in Artuque. And the soils are more or less the same, because also is a clay and chalk. But here the difference is that we work with Tempranillo, more or less in the blend. We use 10, 12, 14% of Graciano, also is a traditional grape from here, and 1-2% of Viura. Okay.
Okay.
And here, of course, we started in this wine. We started to age it in big barrels.
Okay.
As I told you, we don't like too much the 225 liter barrels. The classical barrel in Rioja, we don't like too much, because we think that this barrel it make up a lot the wines, and we prefer to feel more the terroir. And this is the reason why we started 14 years ago to age it in the big barrels, like 500 liters, 600 or 3,000 liters. No. So normally we age it during 1 year or 10 months if the aged period is short, or if it is longer, maximum 14 months. But the idea is to work 1 year in a barrel, more or less, to cover the wine more complex. Okay.
Right. Because the vineyards in total are better, or like you said, both of these are more or less village.
Normally, as they are a little bit higher, normally the production is a little bit lower than in Artuque, so the wine can feel you that with a little bit more structure, with also good level of acidity because we are higher, and also you can maybe have a little bit more flavors of blackberries or more balsamics also. The wines are a little bit more complex.
Yeah, this is much deeper. It's much more complex. Like the color is darker too. The aromas seem to be darker too. So the whole wine is much broader and much, like bigger than the Artuque. They're also from different vintages, so maybe the 2020 was just a little bit warmer and more fruity in total.
2020 was a very difficult vintage for us because as we work in organic, we have a lot of rain here in the north of Spain during the June and July, and we lose 15% of the grapes by the mildew. But the vintage for me was very, as we lose a little percent of the grapes, we can have a good concentration in the wines, and also you can feel that the wines are a little bit more maybe dark. If you compare the vintage, maybe the 20 can be a little bit more dark. The flavors can be more like or blackberries or how do you say in English, or more balsamic. Normally for me the dark grapes, for me the good example is the Syrah. Syrah for me, the grape of Syrah is a very dark grape. So this Tempranillo in the vintage 20 I don't want to tell you that it is the same like a Syrah, because they are not the same. Okay. But can have a little bit way in this part, no? With the more dark flavors.
I mean, it's also fresh. It's not like we're talking about how dark it is and how it's more fruity than the other one. That doesn't mean that the wine does not have freshness. It's still it's not like like a wine from Ribera del Duero or from
Yeah.
Toro. It's not at all like that. But
we are in Rioja, really. We are in the north of Spain, and this one is ours.
I'm just saying this for like the people that are watching that maybe don't have the wine and they're not tasting with us, so that there's no misunderstanding. So this is deeper than the other one, but it's still very much a wine that is driven by freshness, that is driven by elegance, just that it's on a more concentrated level than the other than the first one.
Yeah.
Mm. And it's really hard to pour this out, actually.
Yeah. Of course.
Right now, it's perfect. It has like a little bit of pine notes, maybe in the back. It's very nice.
No, and I think that we have in those two wines, you can feel the difference of one village of other wine, because normally Baños, the village, the concept of the village is the wine is more fruity.
Right.
Instead, the Avalos can be a little bit more balsamic, more complex. So we need to understand which village is better to make the different wines.
Right. Yeah, I can understand that. Why you put more effort and like you use a little bit of oak with the Pies Negros and you don't use it with the Artuke. Because probably the Artuke would just be, like clubbed to death by the oak. So let's move on to the last wine that we're tasting, which is La Condenada.
La Condenada.
From the 2016 vintage.
Yeah.
And it says here, Paraje Camino de Ciego. So it's like the vineyard, like the vineyard of the blind man's path. Is that it? More or
Sorry,
less? The vineyard of the blind man's path or blind man's way.
Yeah, Camino de Ciego it can be more or less the same. Yeah, this way.
So La Condenada is the name that you give to the wine, but it's not the name of the plot.
No, the name of the plot is Camino del Ciego, but here in Rioja it's forbidden to put, not forbidden, but we can tell you that it's allowed to put the name of the places where the vineyard is. So we use the name of Condenada because the vineyard was abandoned when we bought, because really the vineyard we bought 2008.
Okay.
No, sorry, 2012. It was abandoned 3 years before. It is very, very small plot, 0.75 hectares only, with 4 different grapes, because you have Tempranillo, normally 75-80%, and the other 20 is Graciano, Garnacha, and Palomino. Okay.
Palomino again is a white grape.
Palomino is a white grape. It's the grape that they use the people from Jerez to make the wines. It's very very good grape when the vineyards are very old, because it's very productive grapes. And here the soil is very uncommon, because we have not clay, we have not a lot chalk, we have 50-60 centimeters of sand, and then we have 40 centimeters of sandstones. So the sandstone are in this plot very important, because during the winter the sandstones can take the water like a sponge. I think that is
a sponge. Yeah.
And these stones can put the water available during the summers. So it's very good to understand why the old vineyards can live when also the jars are very, very dry, no?
Yeah, yeah.
So here also in this wine, we make the co-fermentation because for us it's very important to have the plot philosophy in the wines.
Yeah,
You have the 20% of Graciano in the plot. We put this part of Graciano in the plot because we are defending that the good plots every year can give you not maybe the best wines, but every year can give you the same identity of the plot. No? For us, it's very important to understand the plot like a speak of the plot, no? The flavors of the plot. And this one normally every year is our more floral wine, very, very floral, and also very, very fresh. This is the identity of Condenada. Normally, our other wine that we have, like our Grand Cru, because Artuke and Pies Negros can be like our village wine. Finca de los Locos and Paso las Mañas can be like our Primer Cru, no? If we speak Burgundy's way.
Yeah.
And our Grand Crus are Escolladero and Condenada. Escolladero is a plot with very clay soil, and Condenada is a sandy soil.
Yeah,
so normally Escolladero is more fruity, more sweet, okay? And Condenada is more vertical, more ethereal, more fresh, more direct, more light, no?
Right.
So I think that we are enjoying with a very good vintage because 16 was a very good vintage in fresh part and also in quantity. Okay.
It's super explosive on the nose. Like,
yeah,
I've just like if you compare it to the other ones, it's like you smell it and it comes at you directly, and not in an aggressive way, but it, you know, like it really wants to be smelled. It's very, 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 very nice.
2 weeks ago, I had a dinner with a friend, and I opened a bottle of 16 of Condenada. So I have in my mind very, very close.
Yeah, it's super lovely. It's like you said, it's very ethereal. It's very there's lots of aroma. I haven't tasted it yet, but I've only smelled, and that alone is super fascinating.
And also this wine with time in a bottle, maybe you can enjoy more in a glass when the time is going.
Wow, this is really excellent. Like, and the way the balsamic notes are there, you can. It's actually like if you drink all of these three wines, like one after the other, you can totally see how it's getting more like the same thing is there, like even in the small one, but it's getting more and more complex, and it's getting more and more evolved and fleshed out in a way. But tasting these wines and like one after the other, it really gives you an idea of identity, not only of the plots and the location, but also of the winery, because like and you have to add the idea of the vigneron also to the idea of terroir. It's not that the plot makes the wine alone, like you also have a hand in it. And I think it shows really well in this progression of the three wines, what you're going for. But tell me about the elaboration of the Condenada. Is the elaboration for the single vineyard wines all the same, or do you use different ones?
No. The idea is that we make the same elaboration in the 4 single vineyard that we make.
Yeah, okay.
Because we want our customers to enjoy with the different flavors that they can give the soils. No.
Yeah, yeah.
So here we work with TSTEM, We make the very short fermentation, like in the very traditional way, like our grandparents. And after that, normally we work in the 600 barrels, 600-liter barrels, or 600 big barrels, sorry, depending the year, but between 10 to 16 months. I think that the vintage 16 was 13 months.
Okay. Yeah, it's not very oaky. Like you notice it a little bit in the structure, and like the tannins seem to, like, they have a little bit of oak in there, but you
after the vintage 15 was the first one, we only use barrels. We don't use new barrels.
You use American oak at all, or is it all?
No. Only we use French oak.
Okay. Yeah.
Only we use no. Our idea normally, we buy every year 5% of the new oak, but we use in pies negros, and then when the barrels can have between 2, 3, 4 years, we started to using in the single plots like Locos, Mañas, Condenada, and Escolladero.
Okay, so pies negros sometimes gets new oak.
Yeah, because only 5% of the blend is new. Because also we have more bottles. In pies negros we are making 60,000 bottles, so normally is good part of the blend. And also, we don't have a lot of problems to put in the new oak in this blend.
Okay, yeah. It wasn't noticeable at all. I didn't notice any new oak on the pies negros. That's why I was wondering.
It's a small part only.
Right. So yeah, this is a very, very lovely wine. If you had it for dinner a couple of weeks ago, what did you eat with it? What was the dinner?
Difficult question. No, difficult question. To drink every day for me is Artuke.
Yeah.
If I need to choose a wine to a dinner, maybe every dinner is pies negros. And if you want to enjoy in a long dinner, and also to reading a book, for me is Condenada, because you can enjoy more time in a glass with this wine. No?
Yeah.
But also for me, it's very important the company when you are drinking a wine.
Oh yeah, that's true.
This is not only the wine, the company, the people, or the person that you have close to you is very important.
And the overall situation also, like you can have the same wine in different settings, and it can be so different, like.
Yeah, of course.
It was lovely drinking your wines with you, though.
No. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. I think we have to wrap it up, maybe. Is there anything you want to add that you want to tell us or like the spectators? Is there any last words before we
tell me.
Switch off?
Tell me.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Tell me, can you repeat me, because it's breaking?
Okay, the connection is breaking off.
Okay.
I was just asking if you have any like last words to end the tasting. Anything that we haven't touched that you might want to add?
No, maybe I think that to make a good summary, I think that the new revolution of Rioja is to come. I think that it's a very traditional region, but your customers, the people, I think that it must to enjoy more with the small producers, and also with the plots, with the village part, or with the new generation of the Riojas winemakers, because I think that we have one of the best regions in the world, Now a lot young people is working this way, so I think that we hope that the best wines they are coming now. No.
Yeah, I think it's very exciting to watch Rioja like have this undercurrent of because the big companies are not going away. They're not going anywhere. That's for sure. But you have but you have like all these small producers popping up and getting more attention, and that's really exciting to see. And
Of course.
Yeah, we're very glad that we have found you and that that we have your wines in our shop. Please come by and buy lots of wines from Artuke so you can taste this yourself. And yes, thank you, Arturo, for spending this evening with us. Thank you, everybody that was watching. My name is Mick Schulz from Kölner Weinkeller, and have a pleasant evening. Bye-bye.